afternoon, folks. Welcome into episode number 44 of Clark After Dark. Gonna let a little Black Sabbath and some Ozzy Osbourne bring us into the podcast. And on the day that we lost Ozzy Osbourne, 76 years old, and might be a lot of people who don't necessarily agree with maybe the walk of the life that Ozzy Osbourne lived. But the one thing that you cannot debate is that man was a true rock and roll legend. Truly, they call him the Prince of Darkness, the King of rock, one of the kings of rock and roll. Can't call him, but certainly the King of Metal. Was phenomenal. He and Zakk Wylde putting on shows for Black Sabbath for so many years. Of course, it's kind of mind-blowing. Just 2 weeks ago, folks, 2 weeks ago, he performed his final concert. I watched it live. It was pretty interesting. So rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. That's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way here. We had a huge weekend of racing action all over the country this past weekend. Again, episode 44, Clark After Dark. My co-host week in and week out, of course, is Cortland Smith from Alexandria, Louisiana. He joins me now on the podcast. Cortland, we had the Joe Duval's Funkadelic Dirt Track and Honky Tonk Extravaganza in Colcord, Oklahoma at the beautiful state-of-the-art Arrowhead Speedway on Friday night. And then, of course, we moved to Salina High Banks on Saturday. You were with Morgan Bagley with the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series. Great run for you guys both Friday and Saturday night at Arrowhead. Y'all went to Batesville on Saturday, so I'll let you get to that here in just a couple of moments. Of course, we had the King's Royal, the Joker's Jackpot at Eldora, just high attrition. Injured race car drivers. We're going to get into all that. We've got Josh Bell, the owner of Bayou Dirt Life, who's going to join us here shortly. Happy to have Josh with us. He is my co-announcer, of course, at the Boot Hill Speedway as we get ready to preview, of course, the 11th annual 10,000 to win King of the Hill coming up this weekend. We'll talk about favorites, sleepers, dark horses, and, of course, kind of look back at what that 30K was and maybe some of the drivers who finished up around the front of that one and who we can expect to be fast coming up. So without further, hey, you're already in here, Cortland. Yeah, we're just winging it. No notes again this week. I had a lot of people message me this week. I think every week's our best pod. But, man, I had somebody from Kentucky reach out last week. I sent you the screenshot, said, man, I just found your podcast on a whim. He really, really enjoys it. He says, man, I like learning about different areas of the country. Guys from Kentucky, we had no mutual friends. I thought that was pretty cool. No mutual friends. He finds our podcast. He says he listens to it every single week. Shout out Jeremy is his name up in Kentucky. So shout out to him. A lot of folks sent me a message this last week and said that may have been our best one, Cortland. And I don't think we were like not very prepared. I had no notes. We just kind of ran through it, and it was fun last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, we have a good time. Just like you said, man, you don't realize how many people this can actually reach, but once it gets on the World Wide Web, it's out there forever, and it can be reached from all across the world. You slowly realize, and man, for all the people that are enjoying it, I'm happy, man. Like I said last week, this smile is real, and I promise you, this weekend showing up, if you're there till 4:00 in the morning, I'll be there. I love talking about racing, and I get to do it for an hour each week, and it gets put out there, and I'm glad people enjoy listening, and maybe I can put a little different hindsight or insight to different things, man. It really is a blessing to be able to do this with you every week, and I'm glad everybody seems to be enjoying it. And hopefully this week is now going to be the next best one, Zach.
Absolutely, yeah. It should be a good one here as long as I can get us off the runway. Okay, here just a little bit as I brought us in with some Black Sabbath tonight. We're changing it up a little bit here tonight, but I'm not just heartbroken that Ozzy died, but. Dude, you grow up, you listen to 98 Rocks, right? Riding down the road. We'll get to racing in a minute, but this is Clark After Dark. We talk about whatever comes to mind here on this podcast. The ADD gets the best of us some weeks too, and we just go and steer the road from there. But dude, I mean, you've grown up. You may not be able to name an Ozzy Osbourne song off the top of your head. No More Tears is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. It just jams. It's not even the lyrics or anything like that. The song just jams. You can listen to 98 Rocks growing up to Boot Hill. There's just certain songs that are just a soundtrack maybe to your life, or you could just hear, it's kind of peripheral hearing, in the background while you're riding down the road with the radio in the 90s. Ozzy and Black Sabbath, a lot of that music just comes to mind, man. It's, and there might be different music for you, that has kind of shaped you in your childhood,
Ozzy, he sang Crazy Train, didn't he?
Yes.
So this is going to sound crazy. This is how I relate to Ozzy Osbourne. The year the Saints won the Super Bowl, Drew Brees is on the cover of Madden next year, and Crazy Train was like the opening song or one of the main songs in there. So yes, as a little kid and a little Cortland who played Madden a crap ton after the Saints won the Super Bowl, I definitely heard Crazy Train a bunch, and it definitely gets played once or twice when you're making some long hauls.
That's pretty awesome right there, man. Hey, a lot of the Madden games have some pretty good soundtracks, man. We could go on and on. They had some pretty good songs on them soundtracks. So, man, I made my first trip to Arrowhead Speedway. I believe that wasn't your first trip up to Colcord to the, like I said, the beautiful Arrowhead Speedway as advertised. That place, is as beautiful as everybody was talking about. But the main thing I was really concerned about, Cortland, was how is it going to race? And let's just be honest. According to everybody else, I wouldn't know any differently. The place raced accordingly to everyone else. It raced maybe the best it's ever raced. We had 53 modifieds on Friday, a part of the American Racing Modified Series and the Heartland Modified Tour. 6 mod heats. We had Group A, Group B qualifying. Really, really phenomenal modified heats. All 3 of the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series late model heats were good. And then we followed it up. Let's just get to the Comp Cams first. Dude, what a race. Billy Moyer, 865. Career win 865. Beats Clay Stuckey by about that much coming to the checkers. And what was almost, well, it was a little bit further than that. At the white flag, it was about that much. Stuckey never technically led a lap. But man, dude, what I learned this past week is, this might sound silly, Billy Moyer has gone nowhere. He's still got it. He's good as he once was and good as he ever was. That was some really good racing on Friday night at Arrowhead.
Yes, I will go on the whim and say that was the 4th time I'd been there, and that was hands down the best it's raced by all night long. Like heat 1 banger, heat 2 banger, heat 3. It was hard to be a banger after the first 2 heats, but man, what a phenomenal race. And the feature, dude, it was just, I mean, you could go all over it. Billy charged from, I'm not going to say the tail of the field, but mid-pack, and he just put it up there, middle to top, just running that old Billy Moyer style, dude. He goes in there and just like, it looks like he's just turning left. Maybe he said the car was tight the next day, him and Stevie Norris, we talked to them the next day, and like, he really didn't like the handling of the car, but he just got up there and drove the crap out of it. You know, like you said, Billy still got it, you know, like he can still get up there and wheel with the best of them. And man, Arrowhead, it was just it really did, man. It raced phenomenal. It was really, the bottom was definitely dominant 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 definitely kind of moved around a little bit, but I said the bottom was dominant and Billy passed everybody on the outside. So what do I know when I said that right there? You know, like if you had a good enough car, you could make the moves you needed to go. And you know, I was paying attention to the front, but I was there with Bags, and we were sitting there running, and we were just about to pass Wells for 3rd. The caution comes out. Beard chooses the outside. We were in 4th. With that, put us starting on the outside. And I ain't saying that we could have done what Clay Stuckey done, but on that green flag run before, we had pulled away from Stuckey on the bottom. So if the old 14M would have got to start down there, it might have been a little different story. He might have been able to rally on up there and give Billy a charge. But hey, that's racing. We should have passed Wells a lap earlier, and we'd have been in that position. It is what it is. You know, so but man, Arrowhead, like I said, them AC bathrooms is nice, and boy, was the racetrack nice last night or this past weekend as well.
Yeah, and man, full grandstands too. I wish I had some pictures. I should have sent them to my awesome producer earlier today to have them into the podcast, and I just wasn't able to do it. Maybe we can share them another time. But the stands are packed, as you would imagine, of what a full grandstand looked like. And man, it just fires me up to see a full house like that on a Friday night of all days, you know, of the week too. You know, a lot of times Friday night tracks can struggle, but you know, and hey, the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series late models, they sell tickets, man. They had 27 cars there, and it was, man, that first heat race that had Morgan in it. Drew Armstrong was leading it, and then dude, Chandler Petty just passed them both on a late race restart, and that was one of the best races of the night. Just that 8-lap heat race, and I love seeing Chandler Petty back in a late model too, man. That 47 was ripping the other night.
Yeah, him and Armstrong both. You know, those are guys that, I mean, they kind of been kind of hit and miss lately. And I know Chandler Petty, they're running that tight. I believe he's still in that Titan Race Cars deal, the 47 there. But yeah, dude, like both of them to be there, really good quality drivers. Like you can't sit there and shake a stick at them. They're just as good as anybody else on that Comp Cam's tour, really. And like you said, dude, I think I texted you like they were playing. I can't remember what song they were playing, but they were getting the crowd hype. And then when you go. Yeah, turned down for what? Then when you go green with the super late models and you hear that power, and Bags almost goes from 4th to the lead in lap 1, and then all of a sudden we're 3 wide for the lead, and we're deucing and dice, and you have a restart. The 3rd place guy goes from 3rd to the lead. Like, dude, it was just, I mean, that's how you want to start a night out right there. You got turned down for what, Blaring? And by golly, the show on the racetrack was just as good, and it definitely got the blood pumping for the rest of the night. And man, the track held up. Like we said, it was definitely rough. Modifieds just do that. The frame rails dig in. It is what it is. Like you can't change it now. We've learned that speed is when you get the right front down and be able to steer in and stuff. So like the frame rails just drag. So it was a little choppy here and there, but man, sometimes it makes it interesting as long as you're able to go around the holes and still make speed. So dude, just what an awesome night that Arrowhead had.
You know what I learned this weekend? So oftentimes we don't get to see modifieds races frequently around the Arcletex as we used to, right? Like Arcletex has had them around there weekly. I don't think that they intend to run them, you know, as weekly now that they have an ownership change. But what I learned this weekend is that when I get to see modifieds again, it just kind of reignites my love for them all over again. Like I really have always loved modified racing, and I've always been able to call, a lot of important modified races here around the Arklatex in the Mid-South, and thankful for all those opportunities. But man, I've always enjoyed mod racing, and Friday night was some really, really good racing. Like I said, 6 heats, 53 modifieds, and shout out to the Heartland Modified Tour and all the special things that they're doing for regional modified racing. We had USNTS racing a 4-race speed week in Minnesota this weekend with all the heavy hitters up there, and you had 53 modifieds and some really good ones. Jason Hughes was there, the 4-time national champion. There were some really good cars at Arrowhead, and Anthony, New Mexico racer Mark Smith, who has been so fast all season long, he ripped the lip en route to the victory, man, and it was a good race up front. But, man, that damn Mark Smith is so fast, and he finally parlayed all that speed he's had all year into another victory.
Yeah, he was just a class of the field of his own there at Arrowhead, man. Like you said, he just got up there and made speed, and he made it happen. And like you said, he's been fast all year. I don't know if he has. I'm sure he has another win at some point this year. I didn't look up the Mark Smith stats. I'm sure he has another win, but dude, he's just been really fast. And when you win over a field like that of 53 cars, and I mean, like you said, Jason Hughes and Cale Westover, Tyler Wolf, when you got names like that are rolled in the pit area, and those are like a Hughes and Wolf get to race there on a kind of more regular basis. I'm not going to say every weekend, but they're there quite often. So for Mark Smith just to relay all of his speed throughout this year and to get that win over, like you said, do 53 mods. When you have 53 mods show in, there's 15, 20 of them that can win it. So that field was really, really good. And like you said, dude, I love to see the modified fire get rekindled. I'm kind of the same way. I grew up with modifieds being raced every weekend, and there's just something about it when you see a good modified feature, man, dude. I mean, it's any class of cars, really. There can be a phenomenal race in any class of cars, but when you grow up watching it every weekend, you realize how much you do miss it. And like you said, dude, when they had 53 cars there, it was really cool to see.
Jason Engel sent me a text. He was watching the Racing Dirt broadcast. He said, man, I still say racetracks like that with a small bit of character create the best races. Mods and late model features were bangers tonight. And that's a guy, obviously, who's watched a lot of races, who, he knows what he's looking for, as far as mods. And he even agreed that the racing was really good. He was watching the broadcast. So good stuff there. Of course, he went to Abilene on Saturday. Hey, and another shout out. How about Jake Huckabee going back to back in the Toms? Didn't know we were going to take this route going from arms over to Toms, but man, my boy Jake Huckabee got it done again, back to back. They always talk about, man, what you get the first one, the second one comes easy after that. I don't know about that assessment. That shit just don't ever get any easier. But my boy Jake Huckabee said, yeah, it worked for me. And he went back to victory lane in that GRT race car, like a 12-year-old chassis from my boy Jake Huckabee. Yeah. He went to victory lane. So, a little side shot there. Don't know if that was involved in court tonight, but just to wrap out the totality of the modified world and completely wrap it up, we moved Joe Duvall's Funkadelic Dirt Track and Honky Tonk Extravaganza down the road to Salina High Banks. I've been there. That was the third time I've been to Salina. First time I went there, called USMTS in 2013. Johnny Scott won that night, went there 2 years ago for the Funkadelic. Tyler Davis, the 2-time USRA national champion, won. This Saturday night, it was T-Dub. I can't call every driver that has TW's initials T-Dub. I can't do that. I got to get it together. But Tyler Wolf out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, put the Army Contractors Team Lobo Motorsports MB Custom 4W and Salina High Banks Speedway victory lane with the Arms and HMT on Saturday. And I tell you what, between Jared Russell, he's a former NASCAR Sanctioned Series track champion at Salina, and Tyler Wolf. Tyler was really good on Friday. He spun out leading a heat race at Arrowhead, faced some adversity, battled back, finished third, got on the podium. So Wolf leads the weekend of the Funkadelic with a third on Friday and a victory on Saturday. And he got it done, man. He went down on the inside of Kel Westover on lap 4 of the race. No disrespect to you, Kel. That's my boy, but he blew Kel's doors off. He ripped the skirt off that Skyrocket race car. I'm telling you, Kel even said it in his post-race interview, Cortland. He said, man, I thought that I was low. He's like, and then old boy passed me in the ditch. So it was a pretty impressive drive for Tyler Wolf. They're really, really good up there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I have never been to Salina High Banks. I really want to make it up there one day. That place just looks absolutely cool. That's just one of the racetracks when you watch it just looks cool, and you want to go see an event there. So hopefully I can make my way down there. I watched a little bit of the highlights there. Like you said, it's never a good feeling when you think you're running the bottom, and then you look over your shoulder, and it's like, Oh, I'm not running the bottom. That's kind of like a feeling a lot of
Yeah.
people have experienced in Arklatex. Back in the day, you thought you was running the top until somebody really was running the top and drove around you. So it really is an eye shocker whenever you thought you was doing what you're supposed to do, and then somebody ends up passing you lower than what you thought you needed to be. But man, again, 42 modifieds at Salina High Banks, dude. What Joe Duvall, the Heartland Modified Tour Arms, everybody coming up together for this deal. I didn't watch, like I said, just watch the highlights. So I ain't gonna speak too much on the race, but dude, just to support this deal's having, it makes you really feel like mods are still here, they're still live, and they're still proud to be a part of racing, man. And what a great event. Tyler Wolf won. Hughes got second, didn't he?
He did.
He got second, and both of them had to pass at least 5 cars. I think Wolf started 6th, and Hughes started like 10th or something, So I think they both were up a lot of spots. So really good race there. Heck of a job, man. Just what a weekend the whole Joe Duvall Funkadelic dirt track and honky tonk extravaganza was. Almost messed it up there.
Yeah, and I need to give a shout out to the Salina High Banks track prep crew. The heat races were terrible. The 4 modified heats on Saturday night were just absolutely snoozers. Terrible. Freight train right around the bottom. It's not what you want. And man, they went to work on that racetrack during the intermission. I mean, we had 7 classes of cars. The local announcer, Lou, told me that was the record car count for them. I think they had 155 cars on Saturday. So 7 total classes, 155 cars in the pits, and we were rubbered up in our heat races. Of course, the mods ran last, and they were scheduled to run last for the feature as well. We're not the World of Outlaws, so we can't tell these guys when we want to race. Like, you can't, have us put first. It's a little bit different. The Outlaws can do stuff like that, or Lucas Oil, a little bit different for mods. But nonetheless, listen, the track prep crew, those guys went back out there, reworked the racetrack during that intermission, and the features were awesome for all the support classes and for the mods. They gave them a racetrack. Like you said, the winner came from the 5th starting spot. Jason Hughes came from 7th, and it was quality racing, man. They had 2 distinct lines to choose from. It was a far cry from what we saw in the heat. So, you got to give a shout out to those guys because they could have left it. Like, they could have left it. We could have saw some really boring ass racing on Saturday, and I'd have been here talking about it, how disappointing it was. Instead, I want to wrap up Joe Duvall's Funkadelic with I got a couple of pictures right here on my phone. I told you guys about this off the mic before we started the podcast. You guys can see on your screen. This is the picture of Joe Duvall, and this was the Funkadelic race fan of the night. His name is Jace. He lives up there in Oklahoma. Young man has Down syndrome. One of the sweetest kids you would ever meet, man. First time ever to a dirt track that weekend, too, I was able to find out. Pretty awesome. Look, this is Joe Duvall up in the stands who took a picture with this young man. This kid was so fired up to be there. He ran up to me. I was doing the top 8 redraw down there, and he said he wanted to take a picture with me because I was the mic man. So, look, that's me and Jace taking a picture together. Man, I don't know about you guys, but special people like that, man, they just have a special place in your heart. Like, the way they make you feel, like, that young man, there's not anything that had taken his smile or his happiness away from him on Saturday night. And I also want to tip my cap to, like, a lot of people can say what they want about Joe Duvall, and personally, I've never heard anything negative. But if anybody ever even thinks about saying anything negative, think twice. Because, man, I learned, I've really gotten to know Joe really well these last couple of years. And, like, we'll talk on the phone. I was down at Waco with USMTS. Knocked on his trailer door, went in there and sat down and ate a sandwich. I sat in there and talked with him for 20 or 30 minutes, back in Waco when we kicked off the year in February. And what I've learned is exactly what you see is what you get with that guy. Like, he has a pretty nice social media following, and a lot of people know Joe for who he is and maybe his antics, and he's a fun guy to be around. But at the end of the day, what I've learned is, man, he has a huge heart, and a huge heart for modified racing in particular. He's been asked to move this Funkadelic race to different parts of the country and maybe to make it bigger. But he elects to keep it right at home because it's special to him, because he gets to race closer to home. His wife was there. I mean, he had trophy girls and all kind of cool stuff for this race. I mean, and I think that's the kind of stuff, thinking outside of the box, is what's going to get people like Jace and new people into racing, So this young man, Jace Cortland, won $500 for being race fan of the weekend. He got a Funkadelic custom-made belt buckle, and he won also something else in addition. Again, shout out to Jace, race fan of the week for the Funkadelic dirt track and honky tonk extravaganza. That was one of the highlights for me on the weekend, outside of Wolf and the 2SS of Mark Smith, obviously scoring victories. Just really cool stuff with the fan interaction. We had a blast this weekend in Oklahoma.
we talk about what all we do while we do all this racing and do all this nonsense of sitting out there in 95-degree heat, man. That right there is why we do it, is 100%. Man, I like you said, you couldn't wipe the smile off his face, and obviously he was ecstatic to be there. And to make Jace's night like that, dude, that's just absolutely incredible. Like you said, you got a special place in your heart, and for stuff like that. And that's why we race, dude. You know, all these guys say we do it for the fans, yet Joe Duvall made it for the fan that night. He made it for Jace that night. And just, man, that's awesome. Like, there's nothing I can add to that that's going to make it any more special than what it was. But that's why we do this. We do it for a lot of reason, because racers become your family, and it's nowhere else you want to spend your weekend. But man, when you can make a kid's night like that and make it that special, dude, what more could you ask for in life? Really, like, dude, like we said the other week, man, just life is life, and be happy, man. And Jace was definitely happy, and I'm guaranteed he was happy to take all the pictures and go home with $500 cash. You hear me?
Yeah. Somebody took a picture of me actually taking the selfie. That's the actual selfie. That was the picture of the picture that I took there. But yeah, man, I had a great time. I wish I'd had more pictures, man. And we had a great crowd there this weekend too. This is inside of the bar, though. Those are autographed guitars from Blake Shelton, Miranda Lambert, and some other famous country singers that are from the state of Oklahoma. I actually think Miranda's from East Texas, for what it's worth. But man, it's just such a great place. Tell me a racetrack that sells mahi and you can get a ribeye, a steak, a ribeye, and a baked potato, and you can sit there and you can watch the races from the finish line bar and grill. Man, it is a vibe. It's an awesome place. And what's really cool is, like, they have the audio from the races playing. So when you're down there eating, like, you can hear me calling the races. Like, you might want to mute that, but no, it's really, really cool, man. It's I wish we had something like that around here, and I think we probably could. I mean, it'd take some money and an investment, but I'd like to just, like, and I feel like that's kind of what 67 has going right now. We talk about that vibe with the beer garden and stuff like that. Just having people just gathering around at the racetrack. Sure, we gather to watch racing, but if you can gather people at an establishment like that and eat and get together, whether it's having drinks or eating a steak, and they're already at the racetrack and it's kind of a sideshow to the race, that's creating an atmosphere. And I love everything about Salina, man. It would be really cool if we could have some kind of way to see something like that implemented around here. I just don't know. It would take a lot of money.
It would take a lot of money, and sadly, it's just one of them deals. Like you said, it comes down to the bottom dollar, and somebody would have to stick a lot of money out there to do something like that. And Cortland here does not have that type of financial funds to do that, so I'm not going to speak on it it should happen, But man, like you said, just once you get the people there, and whether it's for the racing or if they show up to go eat at the what was the name of the restaurant there at Salina? The Finish Line, yeah. I mean, whether you show up to eat at the Finish Line and you get to watch a race, just like you said, everything builds into the atmosphere and the vibe, and you wonder, well, let's make this race an event, and that's how you make it an event, is having more than just a simple racetrack and concession stand nachos. You got to make it an event to really hold value in today's time, with so many different alternatives of entertainment and in today's time and age that we live in. So like you said, create an atmosphere, whatever we got to do that, man. We got to jump on board, because I feel like all the places that are doing that, you can see that it really is doing something special.
100%. Shout out to the great race fans up in Oklahoma. I love going to new places and meeting new people. The hospitality was great. I felt very welcome. I had a lot of people say very nice things to me this weekend. It was just a great trip, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait. I typically get to Oklahoma once or twice a year. Can't wait to get back at some point in the future. Our guest this week, Cortland, we told him we was going to have him hang around for a minute. We got kind of kicked off and talking about some extra stuff there, but our guest this week, the owner Bayou Dirt Life, not BDLs, but yeah, BDL.com, BayouDirtLife.com. It's Shreveport, Louisiana's Joshua Bell, who's going to join us now on Clark After Dark. Joshua, what's going on tonight, big dog? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, we're feeling good. Excited to be on Clark After Dark again, and hopefully this will be the next best podcast so far.
Yeah, so the last time you were on, we had a lot of comments. Everybody's like, man, you got to have that Joshua Bell on again. He was good stuff. And I said, yeah, he is good stuff, man. I like Josh. We like having Josh on. So happy to have you on for the second time here tonight, man. What did you do this weekend? So you weren't at the racetrack, obviously, because Boot Hill was off, and Arklatex and 67 did a race. But kind of tell me, like, what was your weekend like when you weren't at the racetrack? Like, kind of tell me, what did you hang out with your wife and daughter, or what do you do on a weekend that you're not at the racetrack?
Well, I'm trying to remember. I think Friday night we were just at home watching Eldora really all week, and then Saturday we just went over, hung out with some friends from church, and so baby girl got to swim in the big old pool and all that, so that was fun, and got to throw on the King's Royal main event before we left, and that was that.
Well, let's get right to that King's Royal, shall we? Or the Joker's jackpot. They have already announced that they're coming back for 4 consecutive days again, and I don't know if that's a great call or not. I truly don't. We have 3 drivers who are significantly injured and 3 heavyweight hitters on the high limit tour. They just completed a race tonight. Carson Macedo won the Don Martin Silver Cup at Lernerville Speedway tonight. An outlaw gets it done against the high limit guys, but it's funny because none of the outlaws got to win at Eldora. So kind of works itself out. It's funny like that, right? The irony of sprint car racing and really just all of racing. But I'm getting stirred away here. I text you this throughout the weekend. I messaged you on Saturday because I wasn't able to watch the races on Friday and Saturday, Josh, and I sent Cortland the same message. Once I knew the races were concluded on Saturday night, and guys, I truly mean this. I felt a sigh of relief that it was over. I said, "Is Eldora over? And is everybody alive?" And I'm not being dramatic when I say that, man. Every race I watched this weekend, and every time I saw a car hit the wall, I literally was holding my breath Wednesday and Thursday when I'm watching the Joker's jackpot. And the night before, every single crash this weekend, due to the extra moisture on the racetrack, maybe it was because of the rain they got, the track was so fast. I mean, the average speed was 116 miles per hour. And I mean, dude, I can't recall a time. I can't even put it into words. I can't recall a time I've seen more race cars torn up, but more importantly, drivers whose health is affected for the next several months are going to have to be out of their race cars. Eldora, I don't know, man. Looking back, like I feel like you would grade it like, man, we're just grateful we got out of this one without a life loss. We know how dangerous this sport is, but man, I feel like this last weekend was just an over the top amount of carnage than we're typically used to seeing at Eldora, and I hope we never witness something like that ever again.
Yeah, it was hard to watch, and I had the same sentiment as you when everything wrapped up. It was kind of like a sigh of relief. You know, I mentioned we were over at a friend's house, and just scrolling through social media, I saw, well, Brad Sweet's going to the hospital. I wasn't watching the race at that time, and I said, well, of course, there's another one. And it all started with Attica with Caleb Henry on Tuesday before they even got to Eldora. And yeah, I mean, I can't speak too much on the way that the cars are made. I barely know the difference between the motor and the bumper, to be honest with you. But you know, the cars, they are very dangerous, and going at that high rate of speed with the track conditions, whether that's somebody's fault or just a victim of Mother Nature. Well, I don't believe in Mother Nature, but just the rainfall that happened in Ohio. You know, it was hard to watch, and unfortunately, you know, Tyler Courtney, for the second time in 3 years, has to leave Eldora, and his season's over. He had that back injury at Eldora during Kings Royal Week in 2023. He missed Knoxville, and if I'm not mistaken, he missed the rest of the year. And so it's tough to see that happen to that guy again. The RaceON crash was horrific. I mean, he flipped, and it was kind of a modest little rollover, and but then Zach Hampton came along, bumped him. He said he had nowhere to go because of that hole that had been in turn one all week long. He voiced his displeasure about those circumstances, and then Steven Snyder in that yellow 27 car. I mean, he just obliterated the 87 car, or the 87 of RaceON. And so, yeah, I mean, we were all holding our breath to hear that Aaron was going to be okay. I saw actually right as it happened, he was moving around and he climbed right out. And so I was hoping, you know, he was good. I think he even walked off with a little bit of help, but turned out that he had a broken foot. And so, yeah, I mean, just a crazy week at Eldora. You know, I talked to you guys throughout the week, and I didn't really hold back my comments about Eldora. I'm not a fan. It doesn't seem to race well. It's always dusty. They had trouble with the track this week. People get hurt. And, man, hey, can we move the Kings Royal to Knoxville? Let's just do that.
Well, you know, we got the Knoxville knack. there's a place in the sport for Eldora. I love Eldora. I think when you go there, it just means more. It's kind of like the Southeastern Conference in football or baseball. It just means more, right? Like, and no, I don't like to see crashes. I don't like seeing people being hurt, but isn't that kind of what sells? Of course, we don't like seeing people get hurt, but that is what the thrill of sprint car racing is these breakneck speeds and guys are on the edge of disaster, and that's what is appealing of it. I mean, they were sending vapor trails Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. They were getting around there so fast. I mean, and it is. And people ask me all the time, what do you like more, sprint cars or late models? I'm like, well, if speed is your thing, then you can't help but be wowed by speed by sprint cars. But if you like watching side-by-side battles, and I like them both. I think equally I love them both. So I'm not like, well, I don't know about equally, but let's settle down.
We know that.
I love them both. I really do. But obviously the late model is a little bit safer. It's not quite as fast, but Cortland, I'm sure you would agree as well. I know you were watching Wednesday and Thursday. I was at the racetrack Friday and Saturday. I went back and watched the broadcast. So, like Josh just mentioned, he didn't mention the Brad Sweet crash, and they had a different perspective on that when there was a Flow racing camera down to the infield. Of course, the broadcasts were on Dirt Vision, but somebody in the infield with a Flow camera got the perspective and saw Brad Sweet just get hit, bam, right in the door after he'd already flipped. And it looked to me like Brad was concussed. I mean, he was sitting there and dazed. I mean, before he'd ever really started moving in the cockpit. And like, golly, I sent that crash around to some people, and I was like, golly, man, when is this going to end? Like, and I don't think that I was being overzealous or dramatic. It really felt like it was just over compounded. It was one after another after another. Keep in mind, right when Brad Sweet flipped, right before that, Casey Kane had a terrible crash, like a tumultuous flip that I was really concerned that Casey Kane wasn't going to get out on his own power. And he's the car owner of the 49 car. I mean, there's a lot of other flips that we're not even going to mention on this broadcast tonight because these drivers are just happen to be okay. But just because they're okay doesn't mean they weren't shaken up or they're not going to feel the effects of this crash. Dude, listen, I crashed a go-kart at K1 in Houston at the RaceON end of the year party last January. I hit Austin Wilkins head on in a go-kart, had a helmet on. Listen, I'm not saying this to be silly. I'm just saying this to put in perspective. Don't laugh at me, Cortland. I swear I'll come to this. No, I was at K1.
I know it's serious. I'm sorry. I was just laughing.
I'm telling you all this because Austin spun right in front of me, and I was coming as fast as you can go on one of them K1 karts indoor, and I hit him head on. And I'm not kidding you, dude. I had a headache for the rest of it. Like it rung my bell when I hit him. Like it jumbled my vision for a second. I thought it concussed me, and I told them all that day. I wasn't being a little bitch about it. I thought that I was concussed. I hit him head on. You still fucking laugh at me. I know it sounds so silly. I hit Austin head on. I hit Austin head on a go-kart. It's the funniest shit I've said all day. So I hit Austin head on, and dude, I'm telling you, it rattled my cage. All the point being, this is falling off the rails. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I was in a go-kart doing 20 miles per hour and thought I rung my bell. Can you imagine doing 116, even having all the head and neck restraint and all that at 100 more miles per hour on dude, these crashes are, dude, I'm not kidding you when I say we are so lucky that we have everybody still with us here today. And I don't know if that sounds dramatic or what, but if you watched Eldora, I think that you have no other way than just to agree with that because it was truly wild this past week.
I will say you feel as if, those guys know when they strap in that they're, like when you strap into a race car, you know what you're signing up for, but I will say Eldora was Mach 1 wicked fast those first 3 nights for sure. And even early on in Saturday. And then, and as technology advances, I know we don't necessarily set new track records every time, but we're faster than we ever been entering corners because we have learned knowledge to be able to make these cars go around the turns faster than they ever have before. So everything has created more G-force and all. And sprint cars, like when you're comparing them to late models have sprint cars have a full roll cage, but late models also have a thick, I don't know the thickness of the metal, but they call them door plates and different stuff. And just there's a lot more there to absorb. Sprint cars are sprint cars because they literally just have the stuff on there to make them go fast. So they're light as can be, fast as can be, and they don't put any, if it doesn't need to be on there, they don't put it on there. And I'm not saying they don't take driver safety lightly, but they definitely aren't adding a bunch of different door bars and whatnot to try to help this. But at the end of the day, like the Brad Sweet flip, whenever you take that tumble and you land and you get hit dead in the door, it's not good. Like I know for my one experience in a situation like that, I mean, I got hit in the driver door. I mean, and that was just a 3,000-pound stock car doing about 65 miles an hour. Like that's just it's not good. And it's just not that these guys don't sign up for those situations to happen, but I think they all know, like they know the seriousness of it. They know that we're going faster than we ever have before, and they know that Eldora's rough and tumble, and it's one of them deals that they just put in the back of their head. It's not. I mean, I'm thankful everybody walked away safe from there, but just imagine the driver's aspect of you're in that staging lane and you just watch Brad Sweet get his clock cleaned out, and you have to go out there and do that same exact thing, and it's just like, man, like you said, thankful that everybody got out of there okay. That's the biggest thing that we can say or I say okay, like, and we didn't lose nobody, and that's not being dramatic by no means. It's sprint car racing is the most dangerous form of dirt track racing there is. And luckily everybody got out of there alive, and but just all the circumstances lined up for it to be like that. You got the fastest cars on dirt, you got one of the fastest racetracks you'll ever go to, and then you just add the rain, a little bit of roughness, and it doesn't take long for everything to break loose, and you have dramatic crashes like we've seen. And luckily everybody was okay. That's the bottom line in this deal. Whether Josh wants to move the Kings Roll to another track, or so and so's mad about this or that, just happy that everybody's okay. And at the end of the day, somebody won $200,000. You know what I mean? So it wasn't all doom and gloom. Somebody did. A lot of people won a lot of money this weekend at Eldora.
I do want to make mention and say that Saturday night, I watched the entirety of the broadcast back. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the track, it was hammered down very, very fast. But again, Mother Nature threw a curveball in there. The track had a lot of additional moisture in it. Saturday night was much better. I did watch the broadcast once I got back from Salina on Saturday at the hotel room, and the track was slicker, and all the drivers that finished on the podium had nothing but high praise about Eldora and how they turned it around and how it raced much better on Saturday. Also, that driver who won $200,000, shout out to the PA posse, Anthony Macri, the Concrete Kid, got the biggest win of his career, his first big-time crown jewel. Really cool to see the 39M, and it's pretty amazing how things can come full circle. It was just 2 years ago at the Eldora Million that the whole sprint car world was turned upside its head because Macri was on a roll at that time and was considered to be one of the proverbial favorites coming into the Million, right, Josh? And Anthony steps away from the 39M ride, and they get, they have musical chairs with a few different drivers. Well, then finally Macri rejoins the party in the 39M car, and did we lose Josh there? I'm not sure, but
no, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah. So we lost Macri for a little bit. He comes back, and the 39M car, man, he gets a huge win the other night. And he got up on the wheel and he earned every single bit of it, man. It was really cool to see. We'll get into some of the other stuff that happened, but how about Anthony Macri getting a big time win, man? That was cool to see.
Yeah, Macri is he's really hard to beat, and it doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter against who. I mean, he is the poster boy right now for the PA posse, and I mean they're headed to his territory now this week. Outlaws will be at Baps tomorrow, and then head on to Williams Grove for the two races this weekend. Macri, yeah, it's hard to say Macri's not going to win at least one of those three races.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he does. Man, let's just talk about some of the silly season. So back to Wednesday night, stuff hits the fan with Gio Scelzi. Silly season is coming around right now, midpoint of the year. So we have some musical chairs. The KCP racing team, Gio Scelzi departs that ride. Now, who they say is getting in it today? I'll let you fill that in just a second. Brain's not working 100%. So that ride departs for Gio. Now we know he's going to find a new seat. So he's off the Outlaws deal. And now we have all these crashes. That opens up 3 seats for the high rollers. Brad Sweet, Tyler Courtney, and then the other one, Aaron Reitzel. So you've got 3 vacant seats right now, and then you've got Gio leaving. I mean, dude, this week was it was crazy. I mean, it really is. It's crazy. There's different drivers who are now driving different cars, and Gio's driving for the 7BC car on the high limit tour the rest of the year, and he was an outlaw last week.
Yeah, the 18 is going to be filled in by Emerson Axum for the rest of the year on the World of Outlaws tour. I believe the plan, you mentioned the 7BC, the Clausen Marshall team. That'll be filled by Gio, of course. But I think the plan for Sweet and for Reitzel, of course, they missed tonight with High Limit, and they got what they call a medical provisional. I don't know if you get one or two of those, but the fortunate thing for High Limit right now is that they are off all the way through Knoxville. Their next race is August 15th in California. So I believe Sweet for sure will be back by then. Reitzel, he may have to have somebody get in the car for maybe the first weekend or so there. But, we've seen Reitzel get injured before, get back in the car pretty soon. In fact, the very next day, I think it was, earlier this year in March. And so Reitzel and Sweet, I think those cars should be good with the driver. I don't think they'll have to fill in any seats because of all the missed time or I guess the open schedule for the next month with High Limit.
Yeah, musical chairs this week, Cortland. Do you have anything to add on a lot of that's 4 seats right there. Just some crazy stuff. But Josh, like he said, these guys, Reitzel and Sweet, they'll be back. But it's kind of weird not seeing them racing tonight. Up at Lernerville, just looks different. At least for the next few weeks anyway.
It's going to look very different, but it also gives a lot of people, no matter who picks up what ride here or there, maybe they, some people are going to get to show who they are. Like I think Cole Duncan filled in for Tyler Courtney tonight. I don't know if he'd have been there racing or not, but he went out there and had a really good show and I think he finished top 5, So as these seats open up, I don't know if they actually got them all full. I haven't paid too close attention to it. It's just Tuesday. I ain't really done too much digging into the sprint car world yet to see what rides are taking where, but it may give an opportunity to a lot of guys that are up and coming and get their first breakout shot in a national level sprint car ride. And for those guys that get those opportunities, it'd be cool to see who does fill in where, who, what, why, when, and where. Silly season is everybody loves it, and everybody loves to speculate on who's taking what ride, and if they take this ride, and they're going to take it over full time. It's great drama for the dirt track racing world, and I know a lot of people will love to talk about it.
10-4. I'm messaging my producer, Cody Wooten, back and forth to let you know all I can see is you, and I can't see Josh right now. But for anybody who just listens to this podcast, on whether it's iHeart, Spotify, CastBox, wherever you find your podcast, you wouldn't know that all I can see right now is Cortland's pretty face and Josh Bell. They're all still here. So if you're listening, or if you watch this podcast and all you can see is Cortland, he's putting on his best face for all of you folks while Cody gets it fixed up right now. So anyway, as if this thing hadn't gone off the rails enough. Hey, while we talk about national racing, hey, how about that Mr. Smooth Hat 1998 Dirt Late Model Dream? Come on. All
right, sorry, get back on track.
There we have it, baby.
Josh, we're back. We're back. Josh is back.
But he never did left. He never did leave. All right. Hey, to wrap up sprint car race, or to wrap up national racing entirely, the Silver Dollar Nationals, I'm just going to say it. I miss I-80 Speedway. Is that okay? Can I say that? I miss I-80 Speedway in Greenwood, Nebraska. Silver Dollar Nationals moved to Huset's, and nothing against Huset's. I-80 was just more exciting, and that's just my opinion. Certainly not taking shots. I think Huset's has a place in the sport, and I think they're building that place into what they want it to be. But it's still a sprint car track as of right now. You know what I mean? I think sprint cars just perform a little bit better on that place. And we'll see what late models can do. Hudson O'Neill, 71 car, got the Silver Dollar National score with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series on Saturday night, Cortland.
Yeah, Huset's. I was actually lucky, got to go there. I don't know if it was the first year they had it there or the second year, but we got to go up there to the beautiful facility, man. And what a place! It's one of those. It's Arrowhead. It's Arrowhead type facility times 2 on the grandstands, just because of how many grandstands and everything they have. And a really nice place. But like you said, you miss I-80 because I-80 raced so well with late models. Like you can't deny it. Like it just raced phenomenally with the late models. And Huset's is just tough, man. I don't think that the racing can be bad, or I think the racing has a chance to be good there. It's just you have to have the track like 100% dialed for that feature to come up, and it's got to be absolutely slick top to bottom, because as a lot of guys mentioned, like it's easy to make a lot of speed there just because of how the track is shaped and the corners are kind of tight, so you can really just momentum yourself around there and kind of block all the runs. I thought it was pretty interesting though. Old Bobby Pierce and Moran, they weren't too happy about the race. The race got rain shortened there by 13 laps, and they weren't too happy about it. Bobby definitely showed his displeasure in his post-race interview, and like he looked at the track and said, like, I don't know what's wrong with it. Like, and you could definitely tell he was not happy that race got shortened, which I will say it had just gotten racy in the last 10, 15 laps, and guys were actually finally able to start moving around and whatnot. So, but a little drama, I mean, it was your regulars. The Devin Moran wins on the Thursday. Friday was the 49, and then Saturday, Hudson O'Neal wins it. So it wasn't like no surprise winners there. But obviously the 32 was definitely a little displeased that the race wasn't ran fully there. I know he kind of threw a shot that they waited around at Knoxville for the rain to finish and continue the race. And he wanted a shot to go at it. But like Brandon Shepard finished second on Saturday, and he even said in his post-race interview, if we go back green, nothing changes. Like he said, he doesn't think nothing changes. He said Hudson was that good. Like Hudson was good. He was second, like I think he was pretty confident that he had a second or first place car, and that was what it was,
100%. Josh, what do you Houston's, man, they have an awesome weekly program too. I think they pay kind of like Knoxville. Doesn't Knoxville pay $6,000 a win just for their 410 sprint car weekly feature event? And then Houston's is kind of the same. Between Houston's and Knoxville, man, they've got their weekly racing program for both 410s is just really, really special right now.
Yeah, it is. It's and they usually race on Sundays, so it's kind of you kick back at the in-laws' house and turn on Dirt Vision or whatever you do Sunday evenings. You got some sprint car action just about every weekend, and I think Houston's pays like $4,000 to win. It's a little bit less than the Knoxville program, but they get a lot of good cars out there, and typically the track races really well. I mean, you mentioned that maybe the late models don't race well there, and I think during the High Bank Nationals week for the World of Outlaws, you might want to question whether sprint cars race well, because that week was a lot of follow the leader, and I don't know what they're doing to maybe the track's a little bit too narrow as far as the momentum line around the top kind of tends to be the dominant way to get around the racetrack, and Ryan Timms sure has figured it out though. He is hard to beat out there. He's got 10 wins this year. I'm not sure if all of them are at Houston's, but quite a handful are from right there in Brandon, South Dakota.
He's got a few at Knoxville too, man. I've really enjoyed. It's funny you mentioned that. Perfect segue. I was gonna say we've really watched Houston and Knoxville be a really good breeding ground for a lot of drivers who are pushing the progression in their career that are ready to take that next step. We've seen it with Ryan Timms in that Lee Big Motorsports number 10 car, but we saw it too with Chase Randall, right? The last couple of years, and we saw Chase really develop and get to where he is now to feel comfortable to race nationally with the high limit and the World of Outlaw guys. In here recently, we've seen Landon Crawley up there racing at Houston's quite a bit, and at Knoxville. I think it's great for guys like that who are just trying to learn, and because if you're racing in Knoxville and Houston's week in and week out, you have no other choice but to get better racing with Austin McCarl and the big unit and all them guys. It's man, I tell you what, if Knoxville or Houston's was my weekly local racetrack, I couldn't be upset about anything. I love what we've got down here, but man, it'd just be a whole different world, right? Have y'all ever thought about that? Like just putting yourself in a different, like I thought about that this weekend. I was like, what would it be like if Arrowhead and Salina were my two home tracks and not Boot Hill and Arklatex or 67? It's just, have you ever put yourself in a different, like, man, what if I would lived in a different area of the country? You ever thought about that, Cortland?
I mean, it makes you think that, you go to some of these places and you think like we're so far behind the times, and it's not none of the track promoters' faults or no, I'm just being serious. Like I've been blessed with opportunity for 2 years. Like, I mean, I went from Volusia County to Las Vegas to Houston. I mean, I was blessed, fortunate to have that opportunity and go, but you roll up to Davenport, Iowa. What about Davenport, Iowa says that they're going to have a top-notch facility, that the grandstands are completely covered in a racetrack that's just absolutely phenomenal. Nothing says that about Davenport, Iowa, but you show up and it is. There's a Casey's right outside. There's a Dollar General. I went over there and bought some Slim Jims for the week. Like it's just different when you go to for the week. Well, it was Summer Nationals, bud, but like I mean, it's just different. You realize that, like, I'm not saying I don't appreciate what we got down here, because what we got's what we got, but and you still have a love and appreciation for everything that the track promoters and everybody does here. But like really, you go to some of these places, you're like, we're behind the times, but also you can show up to some Quincy, Illinois, and it looks about like Sabine Speedway, so it just, it really does shake your head, when you get to go to places like that and think, I mean, to me, if you had Houston Speedway or Knoxville where Boot Hill is, I mean, you would sit here and say we'd have 4,000 people in the grandstands every night. You know, that's what you would like to think. But is that really what would happen? Who knows? I don't think Houston has a sellout crowd every Sunday that they race. You know, I really think that they bank it on their big shows that they run. So to conclude this, before I end up going down a rabbit hole as well, dude, you just realize that like some other parts of the country, man, they're just sometimes on a different level than what we are down here. And that's not taking a shot at nothing we got going on, because we got a lot of great things going on. Just our facilities are really outdated.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you the same question, Josh, but I'm going to ask it in a different way. So I should have asked maybe Cortland the same thing. If you could move to a different area in the country and you had to adopt 2 new racetracks to be your home, whether it's on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday like Huset's, if you could relocate to a different area and it was strictly because, hey, I got to move here for dirt track racing, what area of the country are you moving to? What are your new home tracks going to be?
That's really funny that you asked that, because I was just getting ready to ask y'all the same thing. I love the Bayou State, Bayou Dirt Life. I'm all about it. I want to do everything that I can do to improve what we've got going on down here. We got some great things going on down here. I love living in the state of Louisiana. I love our dirt track racing scene. I'll be darned if I hadn't thought about moving to Indiana and starting Hoosier Dirt Life once or twice, because golly, that Kokomo Speedway and I don't know, Putnamville, Lincoln Park. There's another one I'm forgetting over there in Indiana. But yeah, I mean, I guess Circle City is a pretty awesome one. Bloomington. I mean, there's so many awesome racetracks in Indiana. It's all about them non-wing 410 sprint cars, but you're right there with Illinois on one side, Ohio on the other. Neither one's too far, and you can see all the wing stuff as well. And I mean, it's open wheel life, and I've never been there before. I'd like to go. I'd love to go to the Indy 500 and check all that out. The little 500 up at Anderson on the pavement, all of that stuff would be really, really awesome. Hey, we're coming up on Indiana Sprint Week this week, I think it is. So
come on.
Good segue there.
Josh, Cortland, you just knew that he was going to say Knoxville, didn't you? You just knew it.
I could have sworn he was going Knoxville. There wasn't a doubt in my mind. I don't even know why. I was about to say, I don't know why you asked him the question.
Well, this is how Josh Bell has a vast knowledge and an appreciation for dirt track racing all over the country. Here's the thing, Josh. Watch this. I could ask him out of the blue. I hope he's on point today. Josh, what's been going on lately with midget racing? Huh? Who's been dominating midget racing? Tell us a little bit about midgets. What's been going on there?
Well, you caught me on the spot a little bit. I know they've had some midget racing going on, and I haven't really been watching it. I don't think USAC was running anything, and that's kind of the world of outlaws of midget racing is USAC. There's a couple other pretty cool series. You got Power Eye and the Extreme Outlaw Midgets. Power Eye is hard because I don't have their streaming. I'm not even sure what it's on, so can't really catch those events. But I think it's still Justin Grant is the guy to beat really all across the board in non-wing open wheel racing. He is a bad man, and he's been kicking them.
No doubt. Speaking of bad men, this could go a couple different ways. Let's move on to Boot Hill Speedway this weekend. This is what we're going to wrap up the podcast. Let's do a little bit of a deep dive here. I'm sorry to put you on the spot on midget racing. I didn't mean to set you up for failure like that, but you do have a wealth of knowledge on a lot of them guys, far more than I would, and that's why I kind of asked you. Go ahead.
I'll say this: baseball has been picking up big, especially for the Rangers. They've been winning the last few days since the All-Star, right before the All-Star break, and then. So I've been watching a lot more baseball than I have midget racing as of late. So go Rangers! We're going to get that. We're going to get that West Division.
Yeah, well, the Cardinals are 4-6 in their last 10, and the Brewers are 10-0 in their last 10, and they're leading the Central Division. All I need the Cardinals to do is to go like 6-4 in their last 10, maybe 7-3, but not let the Brewers go 10-0. Like they're getting away. They're 9.5 up front. I'm a huge Cardinals. I'm sick of it. I'm so tired of the Cardinals. We're 5th in the division now. We were 3rd. Now we're 5th. I'm tired of it.
Oh,
I've had it up to here. Okay, St. Louis Cardinals. That's all I got. But hey, I will tell you, the last time we won a World Series, it was over the great Texas Rangers in 2011. I don't even know why I'm mentioning that. It's like a Cowboys fan mentioning Super Bowls in the 90s. Like, why would you do that?
That was painful. I don't know why you did that to me, Zach. But hey, we got ours in 23, and we're going to get another one here soon.
Hey, let's just talk about this for just a second. Why is that? You were so dominant 23. You have a team that's on the come up, right? You've got all Uvalde. You've got this great pitcher. We could name, you've got Garcia. You've got all these different great players. And you think that you're building into something. So everybody, like a Rangers fan, is like, oh, man, 23. Next year, we're going to be even better in 24. By 25, man, we might win 3 straight World Series. I don't know if anybody's really saying that. But, I mean.
Baseball, it doesn't happen in baseball.
Humbling.
I mean, what was last time 2 in a row was one? Was it 99 with the Yankees? Like,
yeah,
it never happens. And so, no, World Series slumped big time last year. I didn't even make the playoffs. And I think DeGrom was hurt for most of the duration of the year. And, when you lose your ace, it's just going to be tough. And people, the bats just didn't come alive like they haven't for most of this year so far. I mean, we're 2 games past 100 games. And 2 games above 500, I do believe it is. So it hadn't gone exactly the way you'd want. If you look at the offensive payroll for the Rangers, I don't want to turn this into a Rangers podcast too much. But, I mean, World Series slumps happen. I think we'll make the playoffs and make a little push this year. And then next year, we're going to win 150 games. That's what I think.
Final thing about baseball, I want to give you guys this stat real quick off the top here. So last week I was looking over some stats. So number 1 in baseball, and Cortland's laughing because he knows my ADD is getting the best of me right now. So number
Cortland's
1 in
not
baseball,
a baseball guy, is he?
The number 1 batting average in baseball right now, number 1 in baseball is the LA Dodgers batting 260. 260. You know who's dead last at 30th? The Chicago White Sox at 222. Dude, you're talking in between 222 and 260. That separates 30 teams. That's pretty crazy. Like, it's only like 0.4%, 40% or so. I mean, 0.040%, That's pretty crazy that the batting averages are just that close, you know what I mean? And even the White Sox, even the Colorado the Rockies are playing my team tonight, and I swear if we lose, I'm going to punch somebody in the face over it. But I'm really not. I don't mean it. I just wish we could get off the schneid. Anyway, hey, let's move on to the Great Boot Hill Speedway, guys. The 11th annual King of the Hill is this weekend, and man, I'm fired up about it. We had the 30,000 win Factory Stock Spring Nationals, and I want to make this point right now on this podcast for anybody who's a factory stock racer, or for anybody who's a race fan who's maybe on the fence about the King of the Hill, or you're thinking to yourself, the King of the Hill is not as important as it used to be. I want to make this very clear right now that the King of the Hill is bigger and better and more important than the 30,000 win Factory Stock Spring Nationals. It is our World 100, and I want to make sure that we encapsulate that, if that's the right word. I want to make sure we really, really drive that home this week to understand that, guys, just because this one doesn't pay $20,000 more, the World 100, the Dirt Late Model Dream, pays $47,000 more dollars than the World 100 does. But guess what? All the Dirt Late Model world wants to win the World 100. Maybe some of them. If it were me, I know Scott Blucas wanted to win the Dirt Late Model Dream because it paid more money. Like, you can decide which means more to you, but money means a lot to me. So you can decipher which is more important to you. But I just want to say that the King of the Hill is still as important as it was the very first year that it started. And this is the Factory Stocks World 100. The 30 grand, if that continues to go on to the future, that's like you guys big paying Dirt Late Model Dream. But this race right here has to mean more. This is the one with the 11-year history on it. This is the one that drivers who have averaged over 100 cars for the last 10 years. This is what this event is. This y'all have made this race what it is and have developed and built it into what we've come to expect of it. And I hope this year we continue to have that great solid car count and great racing. But the King of the Hill is still the King of the Hill. And what I'm saying all this and prefacing this conversation with is because I do not want that 30,000 win race to have watered this race down, and for people to think that this race means any less just because it pays 20 grand less. This race is just as big and as important as the 30,000, if not bigger. That's just my take on it. Whether it's hot or it's not, that's how I feel about the King of the Hill. Who's next? Who wants to go now?
Go, Josh.
Man, I agree. I don't know if I can say it any better or any different. I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. This is the factory stock granddaddy of them all. This is what it is. And if you can add your name to the list of King of the Hill champions, you're doing something. I mean, the 30,000 is new. It's shiny. It's the shiny new toy, but it's still about that 10,000 to win King of the Hill. You can ask all of the top drivers. I think for the most part, you know, $30,000 can be. It's definitely a season changing number, but you know, a lot of these guys, it's not really going to change their life. You know, a $10,000 top prize for the King of the Hill, like that's something that defines your career for the rest of it. I mean, who was talking about Mark Underwood Jr. a year ago? I mean, we knew he was awesome. We knew he was a heck of a race car driver. There's no doubt about that. But he did not have his name up there with the factory stock top guys at that point. He had to win that race to get in that conversation. And now we've gone through a Cajun Classic last season, the 30,000, the Mike Parker, and every time who comes up? Mark Underwood Jr. because he's the reigning King of the Hill champion, and I think that's going to follow him for quite some time. And hey, maybe he'll win another one here this week, or maybe it'll be somebody else, and whoever wins it, I'm sure will be very deserving of that top prize.
That's a great point, man, because you know, it was at the Darty Smith Memorial last year, right, Cortland, that Mark got on that roll at Sabine. He passed Whitehead and all them cars were on the top at Manny, and then he went to Boot Hill and went back to back. He won the next week and won the 10 grand. You know, duked it out with Faulkner. And of course, Faulkner got the flat tire. I'm sure he's going to be back with a vengeance. Dalton's never won this race. So let's kind of dive into it and get into this a little bit further. I love what you just said, Josh, because you're right. Since that time, you are further now known as a King of the Hill winner. And that means a lot to Mark. And he even said it, that interview popped up from last year, the Victor Lane interview. He's like, man, I've seen everybody else win these races, and I'm just happy that I'm finally able to get it done, you know? So he's going to try to go back to back. But, man, there's a lot of other drivers, obviously former winners. Neil Kemp, Justin Whitehead, Faulkner's never won it. They're looking to win it. Or Faulkner's looking to win it for the first time. This is why we do this, man. It's so much fun because there's 70 or 80 guys who can win this race. There's typically 4, 5, or 6 favorites that you would expect that are going to be up front, and then there's the outliers. I had some people like on Facebook post before the 30K say Dustin Hennigan was going to win, but how many people truly thought Dustin Hennigan was going to win? No disrespect to Dustin. It was just, has Dustin really showed us in the past in a factory stock that he can win this race? And prior to those last 8 laps at the 30,000, Dustin proved to us and to everybody that he could get it done that night. And so who's going to be the next guy who pulls a Dustin Hennigan this year and can get it done? You know, it could be Dakota Wyatt. It could be Dalton Dubois. Who's the next driver that's ready to turn the corner in the race? Is it going to be Keaton Atkinson who comes back with a vengeance after the way things went the way they went at the 30K Cortland? I'm just rambling at this point, but man, there's so many different factors and storylines and variables. And man, I'm excited. The more we talk about it and think about it, I'm fired up about this week.
Yeah, just to kind of hit on the question before, because I didn't get to answer that one. Not that I'm mad about it or nothing. And then I'll go ahead and answer what you're saying. But, you know, whenever the King of the Hill come out, we still all respected the Cajun Classic, right? The Classic was the one you wanted to win no matter what. So now we're kind of in this transition period, and it's nothing that Arklatex and nobody's done nothing wrong there. Just the Classic kind of lost its luster. So then we got the King of the Hill. That's now the granddaddy of them all, right? And so then this new 30,000 come out, and the 30,000 is still there. But if I use that reference of the past, like everybody still wanted to win the Classic, even though it didn't pay as much. So like y'all were saying, the King of the Hill is the one with the history. It's the one that everybody wants to win. But man, when you sit there and talk about drivers, you know, you mentioned Dustin Hennigan. Never, I mean, I'm not taking no shots at him. If you'd have asked me if he'd have won it, I'd have told you no. You know, and it's who's going to be that next guy that comes out. Mark Underwood wins won the King of the Hill last year. Dustin wins the 30,000 this year. You know, that's 2 guys that you really, I'm not saying you didn't take Mark Underwood Jr. as a serious threat, but you didn't think that he was going to win the King of the Hill last year. I don't think I necessarily had him as my number 1 pick, but he was definitely on a roll there. And then Dustin Hennigan comes in and wins that one. And so now you got this mixed bag, and it's been, the Boot Hill crown jewels have been shaken up. It's kind of guys that aren't necessarily the ones that are just right off the top of the list, the 36J, the 27, the Club 20. You know, it's not those just right off the rip guys, and it makes it even that much more interesting. Somebody who's won it in the past before and had a really good showing at 30,000. I think he wants to show that he's just not a limited mod, but then not just a limited mod stud, but throw out Derek Grigsby. I guarantee you, I know he listens to the podcast every once in a while. He's getting tired of being told he's just a limited mod boot heel bandit, essentially. Like he wants to sit there and reinstate his name as one of the best in any car, no matter what he sits in. So, like you said, that's why we race, dude. It's gonna. I don't think there's ever been a year without 100 cars or right there at 100 cars, man. This is the race that when you show up, dude, people show up Thursday and they're serious about it from the get-go. And there's going to be tempers and flares, and it's everything that you love about what this class and everything that this is, and everything that this Arklatex factory stock has become, man. And $10,000, that's still a heck of a payday for a lot of people. And just what an event that this has become. We talk about events and atmosphere, and this is one that's got it. Like it's a race that's popped off and it's got it. And what an exciting weekend we have coming up.
I want to go back to the point that Josh made a little bit earlier about Mark Underwood Jr., his name kind of just getting into that pantheon of the drivers who have won this race. Just think about Marcus Cottle for a moment. Marcus Cottle got out of racing for 10 years. From the last time he won the King of the Hill, he returned at the 30K. But everybody thought something of Marcus Cottle or thought that Marcus could win that race based on him winning the King of the Hill that one time, right? Like that has followed him for his entire career. Marcus Cottle back in a factory stock at this 30K. And I remember Josh and I were up there calling it. And I remember Josh saying like, hey, forget it. Marcus Cottle's back. Like he's a King of the Hill, but he was battling for the win in the 30K after having not sat in a car for around 8 years. I certainly hope he's back this weekend as well because, you never know. Like we were saying, Marcus Cottle could win this race. That's, and I want to say, too, when Marcus Cottle won the inaugural event, that really spearheaded this event into making it what it was. Cottle winning that race from the 8th starting spot in a car he had never driven that weekend for Cole Smith, in a car that we had never even seen go around Boot Hill Speedway prior to that weekend, won that race. And that's really what made this event really just so special. And I'm telling you guys, I have this weird feeling for some reason, and I hope I'm wrong, that we're not going to get 100 factory stocks this year for this race for the first time in 10 years. And I don't know why that is, but I hope we do. Do y'all feel the same way as me that for some reason something just seems like it's missing? Is it because of the 30K? Is it watered it down? Like, what is it? I hope I'm wrong. I still feel like this race is as big as it's been or as big as it's ever going to be, and we're going to continue to build it. But just something, because the pre-registered driver number isn't as high as it's been in the past. But all we can really find out is once we get there on Friday night, and see how many cars are checked in, and then we'll know at that point. I still think we can get 100. I'm just kind of concerned, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know why we would not get that many, but I guess we'll talk about that next Tuesday after we find out, right?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm not sure we're going to get 100. I think it'd be cool to keep the streak alive just for the sake of the number. Man, I really do. I get tired of us talking about car count numbers.
Me too.
Not us in particular, but just people. It's like how many late models are going to show up? It's like, well, does it matter?
Because it really
doesn't. Because you said 80 drivers. I would probably argue it's less than 80 drivers that are capable of winning this race. But once you start once you throw the green flag, you got 24 out there, and they're all going to try as hard as they can to get to the front. And there's a few that obviously could make the show that won't. And so it's probably 30, 35, 40 guys that could potentially win this race. And you know what? They're all going to be there. And so, do we need the extra 5 heat races per round on Friday night? We're running 5 support classes. Big money for those guys. I get what you're saying, and I do, in a way, hope we get 100 cars just to keep that streak. But it's not really going to hurt my feelings if we get 80 cars and all of the top dogs are there and the fans show up to see a great race. I mean, that's what's going to fire us up is if we can call one of these races again with a packed grandstand and see the crowd going crazy as we get a last corner pass or a pass with 2 laps to go on Ricky Ingles or whoever it may be this time. And that's what's going to light the fire for this King of the Hill. And I'm looking forward to it. And, like I said, in a way, I hope we get 100. In another way, it's not going to hurt my feelings if we don't.
Yeah, hey, you do
Not
not
so
have,
fast.
hey,
Not
but
so fast, my friends. We're getting 100 cars. We're
and
getting
if we
100
don't,
cars.
and if we don't,
Not so fast.
I want to make it clear that just if we don't, it doesn't mean that the event's not successful or that it's not going to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's just a streak that we have for this particular event, and I don't know if that's if that's if that's a symbolism for something else that we should be concerned about for the overall state of racing. If we don't, I'm not going to chalk it up to that. We'll figure that out. We'll talk about this next week. I think we're going to have a great event. Let's get into more of the nuts and bolts here, guys. I think we have a new number one contender coming into this race. I think CJ Howell. Unbiased take. I personally think CJ Howell. He's got a brand new race car. Remember at the 30,000 to win race, he was in an older car that he wasn't as confident in. He still finished fifth in that race, but since that time, he went on to win 3 straight races at Boot Hill. And of course, Ricky Ingles won the race after the 30K. So Ricky in the 81, after he finished second, he came back and won the race. But the events following up that, CJ's went to victory lane. So the 2 cars been dominant. He's in a brand new car. He's got an 8 engine underneath the hood. I think CJ's as confident he's ever been right now. That's what he told me in victory lane the last time down there in S&S Fishing and Rental victory lane. I think the 2 car right now is the number one contender. That's just me looking from the outside, but I think Faulkner, he and Faulkner 1A, 1B, and Whitehead won at Rocket last week. 36J's got the new American flag theme on the car, and Neil Kemp also just won last weekend as well. I think it's wide open. Kind of the same way when we came into the 30K. We really had no idea who was going to win that race. It ended up being Dustin Hennigan. A lot of people weren't picking Dustin. I think we might end up with the same thing, but I don't know. Cortland, would you agree that maybe CJ, he's 1A, 1B there with Dalton right now?
Man, in my dead honest opinion, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna say Little Henny if we're sitting there just talking, just because last year at the King of the Hill he was locked in the top 4. You turn around this year, the 30,000, he wins it. I can't remember if he was locked in the top 4. I'm 95% sure he was locked. Yeah, he was locked in the top 4 at the 30,000, and then turn around the Mike Parker Memorial, and he was locked in at the top 4 there. And with this format, how we're changing it up with just C's and B's, getting locked in on that Friday night, whether it's top 4 or top 6, that's the most important thing. In the last 3 biggest crown jewels we've had, Little Henny's been able to lock himself in through passing points. So I'm not saying I think he's up there with the CJ Dalton Faulkner discussion. That's what I'm saying. Don't forget about him. I know he was a sleeper at the 30,000, but when you go back and realize that he's raced his way in off of passing points, that's tough. There's a lot of guys that make every single one of these big shows, but to lock in through passing points at all 3 of them, bro, he's up there with the discussion. You can sit there and put CJ 27 and Little Henny up there, man. That's me. I can't have the 1A, 1B discussion without throwing Little Henny up there, because I feel like just the way he's performed at these big shows, man, if you can lock yourself in, that's the battle right there. You, like Josh said, 24 cars start, any one of them 24 can get in, and when you can guarantee your spot that Friday night after 2 heat races, that's Saturday's just that much easier.
I agree with that, man, 100%. He's always performed well, especially in the 2 rounds of heats, and I think he had the car to beat at the Mike Parker Memorial. I mean, he was really using some patience in that race. Of course, he broke a distributor, whatever it was that night, and he had to pull off early. But man, he was showing a lot of patience there, sneaking to the outside of Dalton with the line Dalton was running. Obviously, we saw the way that one ended that night with Keaton Atkinson on his lid, but. I think you have to throw Keaton in there too, just off the strength of the performance that he had at the Mike Parker and the run that he had at the 30K. He came back to finish in 7th in that race, or was it 8th? Josh, do you think the 24K at Keaton Atkinson, do you think he'll come back and have the similar kind of performance that he had last time, or do you think that's going to be hard to do it again? I think the 24K is going to be in contention. I don't know. I think it's fun too, adding somebody new like him to this mix too,
Yeah, he's a great race car driver. I think he's certainly going to be in the mix. I do like what you said before, though. I really think CJ Howell is the man coming in. I kind of look at him, not to go back to sprint cars, but he's kind of like Buddy Kofoid right now. Right, we roll into the Kings Royal, we roll into Knoxville, and Buddy Kofoid is probably the hottest driver in sprint car racing. Well, he's never won one of the Eldora Crown Jewels. He's never won the Knoxville Nationals before. But everybody's looking at that 83 of Buddy Kofoid saying, that man, he may be the one to beat right now. And CJ Howell, I think, is that way. He's won just about everything else. He's been winning weekly shows here, there, and everywhere, all over, and he's been so tough to beat. I think, and again, we've said it. We've said it before the 30,000. We've said it last year before the King of the Hill. CJ Howell is always there, and then something goes wrong. And so at what point does that not happen for him? I don't think it's just going to be weekly shows that doesn't happen for him. I think he's going to break through. I think he's going to win one of these shows with a comma in them sooner rather than later. So I am locking it in with you, Zach. I think CJ Howell's the man to beat. Of course, I think y'all are all right. I mean, Keaton Atkinson, Dustin Hennigan, Dalton Faulkner, can't ever count out 36J. It's going to be a who's who. It always is. It always will be. You got your defending King Mark from last season. Brett Frazier was in heavy contention for that win last year. It's going to be a show. And if it's anything like the 30,000, in a way, I hope it's not too much like the 30,000. Man, we tore some stuff up that weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can make it one of them classic King of the Hill 10,000 to win shows. We're going to have some carnage. There's going to be a little bit of drama, like Cortland alluded to earlier. But hopefully we can keep our heads on just a little bit better than what we did for that 30 Gs.
It ended up being a really, really good finale, though. That A-main was good. We did have a few cautions early, but that final, we had a 23-lap green flag run down to the checkers, and Ingalls and Hennigan got to settle it. And watching Dustin chip that thing down from 1.8 down to getting the win was one of the most impressive things I've seen in a long time at the racetrack. And it was a ton of fun. I hope we can get something similar to that again. Just a phenomenal deal where the entire crowd is engaged into the race. That's what you want. Just kind of looking back over this finale, a couple more guys here. Josh Daughter, he's continued to top 5 on the death in these big races. He finished 4th in the 30K. Faulkner finished 3rd, of course. Ricky Ingalls was 2nd. Hey, don't count out Tracy Denby Jr. as well. We talked about him all weekend at the 30K that weekend. Of course, we talked about Keaton Atkinson, Craig Persley. I hope Chris Davis comes back. He's really good at Hunt County. Can Chris Davis come back and make some noise? What about Tommy Williams Jr.? He's trying to get back. He made the show here. He had to race through the soup last time. Will Colby Mewborn be back in the 25 car for Gary Harvin? Not sure. And I like seeing people like Donald Kane Jr. He comes out. He typically makes the race. Will Brett Frazier be back in the F1 car again? There's so many different factors and storylines. Alan Tippin made the main event last time, at the 30K. Josh Ellender, Boone Evans, who just swept and got $5,000 for his win at the Cowboy Up Classic in the USRA B-Mod division at Rocket this past weekend. Maybe Boone Evans comes back in with his factory stock this week with his head held high. Who are some mortgage drivers, maybe Cortland, that you can mention maybe off the top of your head, in addition to maybe the couple I just mentioned there that maybe we're not thinking of that could be top 4 in passing points and lock themselves into this thing?
Man, a guy that we haven't mentioned yet, and I think last year on the Clark After Dark, I hit you with a stat that Zach Clark didn't know. Cody Myers has the most top 5 runs in the King of the Hill over the last 4 years, and we have not said his name a bit. And he won't, and I don't think he hasn't raced as much as he used to. I'm sure he's still going to be in the Twin City Joe Best ride. And but if he shows up, that's one guy that is a complete sleeper that nobody's even talking about, and he just has a track record of running really good at Boot Hill. He has been a factory stock stalwart for years. Another guy been around factory stocks forever that's led laps the King of the Hill, Sean Graham. He doesn't race factory stocks as much. He's another one, man. I mean, you give him the right circumstance. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm hoping he is. I mean, I would figure it's the King of the Hill. You know what I mean? Like, come on, Sean, you got to be there. But so guys like Cody Myers and Sean Graham, that's 2 names off the top of my head that we haven't mentioned yet. And and it all goes back to with the format. And I can sit here and I think I've had it on it enough before in previous podcasts for our listeners that listened all the way through to now. Dude, them passing point heat races are everything, dude. And now, especially with the format change, we're not doing the soup, we're just running C's and B's, dude. If you get buried, you're not working your way up from an E to an A like we saw at the 30,000. Like if you get buried in that C, I'm not saying it's not impossible. It's just going to be tough because them C mains are going to be absolutely cutthroat, and we're going to see a lot of good cars that if that first C main rolls out there early on in the night and it's just one lane hammered down. I mean, we've got a chance to see some really good cars that had bad nights end up on the trailer way earlier than they should be. But back to your deal, just some dark horses that nobody's really mentioned or nobody's really talking of. Cody Myers and Sean Graham are 2 right off the top of my head that have absolutely had really good runs. Sean Graham was leading in breaks, and then Cody Myers always seems to be around that top 5 of the King of the Hill, and you got to be up there to win them, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to figure out where all this. It's like a jumbo feedback. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not.
It might be Josh's iPad.
That might be it. It just, it's like reverberating. It's like some mumbo jumbo in the back, but it'll be fine. No worries. Hey, how about the other Cody who we're not mentioning though? No, he's not a Boot Hill Speedway stalwart or regular, but how about first name Cody, last name Smith?
Thanks, Smith.
Okay, won the Hunter Hobson Memorial, and like if there's a driver who can show up to Boot Hill Speedway and show out without having laps there, often it's Cody Smith, Kaufman, Texas driver. I would not be shocked if he won this thing. I mean, he had himself a position at the 30K as well, man. I really think Cody Smith is going to show up and show out in that Warsaw chassis here this weekend. I don't know, Josh. There's guys like him. I mentioned Dalton Dubois, Dakota Wyatt, Sonny Chofin, right? Richard George Jr. Those guys like that, Josh Bell. I mean, they might. I'm not going to say they can't win it. And hey, I'd hope to see Rodney White back too, the 38 Double D. There's just so many great racers in this USRA factory stock deal, man. If they can put it all together, man, who knows? They might find S&S Michigan Rental Victory Lane.
Yeah, the one that I think really stood out at the 30,000. That's kind of like we talk about the black dirt specialist was Dabney, Michael Dabney Jr.
Yes,
I'd imagine he'll be back, and he's kind of the one that silenced me on the I don't think anybody from over there is going to do too much, and then here comes old Dabney, and I think he finished in 5th if I'm not mistaken. But then two that we haven't mentioned yet that I feel like we need to is Josh Martin. He'll have that brand new Force chassis out there. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the 88M. And then we mentioned him about limited mods, but King Derek III, is he going to have the factory stock out there in the Boot Hill Boogeyman? Yes. Is he going to be going for that crown again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah, hey, by the way, this is random, but somebody's asked me years why I don't have a nickname. People have asked me to come up with nicknames for them on drivers over the years, right? And sometimes I'll come up with some clever ones. So after all these years, I've never come up with a nickname for Justin Whitehead. And people, we had Jaws there for a little bit because his middle name's Aubrey. And Justin Aubrey Whitehead, Jaw. It was just kind of corny and silly, so it never stuck. But I think Chase Lawler kind of said that one a little more than I did. But so I was thinking of it, and I was watching the Steel City Outlaw the other night. I was watching Tim Schaefer at Eldora, and I was like, why did I never think about calling Justin Whitehead or anybody from Texarkana? It doesn't have to be him. The Twin City Outlaw. He builds outlaw race cars. He lives in the Twin City. I looked it up on Google. I said, is Texarkana considered a Twin City? He said, yes, Texarkana is considered a Twin City. This is as random as it gets on Clark After Dark tonight, just throwing it out there. The Twin City Outlaw. That sounds like that's a pretty good nickname, isn't it? Like, it would just have to come naturally. But, like, here we are forcing shit on Clark After Dark. No. What do y'all think, though? Do you think that's a pretty good one?
Hey, I like Jaw. He needs to put a shark on the car. If he puts a shark on the car, then we can call him Jaws. But I don't remember that one. I guess the speakers probably weren't too good back then.
Well, I was trying to remember where the S came from because he doesn't, Jaws. You can't throw the S in there. He doesn't have an S in an initial, so it just didn't really work. But anyway, so I mentioned all that. Obviously, he is the 3-time King of the Hill winner. So I mentioned all that to say, can the Twin City Outlaw get his 4th career King of the Hill title this weekend? I think Justin's got as much speed right now, right? Coming into the 30K, everybody was like, oh, he might be a little off, but coming into it, he had found some of that speed that he'd been looking for. And I think since that time, he's only gotten faster. I think the 36J car is going to be just as good as he typically ever has been, when this big money's on the line, man. What do you think, Cortland?
I cannot agree anymore. I feel like Justin, he's a different vibe at the racetrack now. And what I mean, I don't know how to exactly put my hand on it, but he's got speed, and maybe the little boy, he's got his son with him now. He's on a different vibe right now, and he's that sneaky fast. And he won at 67 this past weekend, then wins at Rocket. He's coming in hot, and when you have any discussion, you talk about nicknames. I think his nickname should just be 36J, because when you say 36J, that's all you need to know. You know what I mean? Like, I just refer to him as 36J. That's what he's in my phone number as. Like, he's just 36J. But anyways, like, the dude, I don't know, man. He went in stock car racing. Life's good. He just got a different vibe about him right now, and he's got that sneaky fast and that sneaky confidence. Justin will be the first one to tell you that he's, he doesn't boast about everything he's done. He'll be the first one to tell you he sucked by all means. But the dude's always fast, man. He's He's one of those like Sean Graham and Cody Myers, been around since the beginning of this factory stock deal, and he's got more laps in a factory stock than anybody else you could write down on a piece of paper. So when you have a factory stock race and he shows up, you got to have him in the discussion. There's no doubt about it. But it just seems like, I don't know, he's just a different vibe. Got old Froggy Doggy and the old Sheriff Andy Taylor might be there wrenching on it. Like it's just I don't know, just everything seems to be brewing up, and the car's fast, he's fast, and he could become the 4-time winner of it.
Yeah, he was number one in passing points at the 30K, and I'm not shocked that he ended up there. But what's funny is in the 3 times that he's won the King of the Hill, he's never been number one in passing points. And for the majority of his 8 Cajun Classic wins, he was never, at the top in passing points. He's always had to, fight for it. It's funny. He's never been locked in that many times is what's, funny about it throughout all the years and those big time Crown Jewel wins. So maybe it'll take a different approach this weekend, but obviously he's going to try to win every single race that he's in. Obviously, Neil Kemp's the 2-time King of the Hill winner, won this race 2 years ago. He and Whitehead started on the front row, and he was one of the only cars in the field who had slicks on that night. I'm interested to see what the racetrack does this weekend. Is it going to be a little heavier maybe on Friday? I'm interested to see what she races like. Obviously, we're going to have, I'd say, 170 or 80 cars in the pits with the amount of classes we're running. Expect the racetrack to be pretty good. I think Bravo and Bubba finally got our method to the madness down on what their track prep needs to be like for a long race weekend. So, man, I'm excited about this weekend. Love Boot Hill, obviously, and this race means a lot to me. Unfortunately, had to miss out on it there for a couple years, but really happy to be up there in the booth up there with Josh and get to call it now for the 3rd straight year with him, and get to have you back down with the infield working the mic at the like you did at the 30K, man. I think you had fun doing that, so we're going to have you back to have some more fun again. What do you say?
I'm going to have an absolute ball. Like I said, Cortland Smith, we have fun anywhere we go. And if you try to knock the fun meter down, just get away. Like we don't need you. Like we're here to have fun, bud. And no, we're going to have a good time, man. I'm glad I get to do it again. Obviously enough people didn't say I did a terrible job or didn't have a face for TV. But absolutely stoked. I think we definitely had plenty of laughs at the 30,000, and some of the races did go a little long, and we had to power through there. But it is what it is, man. This King of the Hill is definitely an event that I'm excited to work at the first time. This will be my 2nd time pit reporting, and absolutely ecstatic, man. Bubba and Rollo, the whole facility, Boot Hill Speedway crew, man. You can't ask for much better people, and that's the God's honest truth there, and everybody associated with that place. So really excited to be back, really excited to be part of the broadcast team again, and hopefully have a few one-liners that make people laugh, and maybe I will dance on the front straightaway this weekend, Zach.
Sounds good to me. I was going to get cornrows in my hair and match Bubba Jones to go up this weekend with cornrows, but I got my hair cut, so it's going to be kind of difficult to do that. But nice cornrows he had there on vacation. Dude, I just found a Johnny's Pizza coupon, and I wish I lived in Louisiana right now so I could have some Johnny's Pizza. I miss Johnny's. When's the last time you had Johnny's right here on Clark After Dark, Cortland and Josh Bell? Come on, hit me with it.
Go ahead, Josh.
We had Johnny's Friday night, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I got one right around the corner, man. So we get that Johnny's. For a while, we were on a Domino's kick, but Domino's, I don't know, the quality just started to go down or something.
Yeah,
I don't
their
know.
pizza sauce sucks right now. I don't know what's going on with
it.
But
So we went back to the old faithful. Just get you a large pepperoni with some extra cheese, and that's all you need.
That's my. Dude, I want a Johnny's Pizza so bad right now without cauliflower crust. F that. Who eats cauliflower crust? Get out of here. That's so weird. Like, who does that? Just eat regular crust. You're going to eat pizza. You're not eating pizza to be healthy, people. Don't get cauliflower crust. Might as well put broccoli and pineapple on it. Freaking weirdos. Anyway, that's all I got, folks. I think that's about a WRAP on Clark After Dark. Josh Bell, you got anything additional you'd like to throw into the mix here?
I was just going to say, man, we're looking forward to having Cortland with us again. Man, be ready. We're going to be leaning on you after them long hours. So we're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, yeah, we're going to lean on you like we did for the 30,000, maybe even a little bit more than we did.
See what happens. What else you got, Cortland, before we get out of here?
Bro, you forgot me again this week with Court's Corners. I could have sworn you said you wrote that down. Like, this is going to be the running joke. When is Zach going to remember to throw Court's Corners up earlier before the hour and 6 minute mark? I'm waiting on that day.
I'm a dick,
I'll
dude.
get-
Honestly,
I'll get-
I just forgot. I'm actually not a dick. I love you, and I just totally didn't actually put it in my notes. I had no notes. I'm sorry.
No,
Could you
it's good.
please,
It's good.
ladies and gentlemen, this is the wonderful segment that we were going to do before we ever even brought Josh Bell on tonight. This is Court's Corners on episode number 44 of Clark After Dark.
Court's Corners. The first things first, we didn't talk about it, but Saturday night, the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series did race at Batesville. Scott Krigler picked up the win, 14M. Morgan Bagley was second, and John Kirby finished third. And the reason I mention it is because John Kirby, a regular on the Comp Cam Series, just an absolute good dude. Barrel rolled this thing at Arrowhead and one of the most violent late model flips I've seen. I mean, he was airborne. I wish I would have had the picture and sent it to Cody.
I got it.
Yeah, but he was airborne. I mean, in a violent flip, completely junked the car. There's a few bolt-on stuff that saved, but he turns around and brings his old car to Batesville and runs third, man. And I wanted to mention that on Court's Corners because, dude, he's a really cool dude. Some of the nicest people in the pit area. Yeah, they had to get 2 tow chains to tow that thing off, man. It was mangled. Yeah. He was parked beside us. I mean, they spent 2 hours just to load it up, and he turns around and brings his old car to Batesville and run third at Batesville, man. And what a just good for him, man. That's just a really cool dude. Second thing, stock cars do stock car things at Rocket. And my boy Kevin Sestaire, son. Kevin Sestaire, the man. I don't know. Do they still call him the hashtag idiot? Does KR still got that going around? I don't know, but Kevin Sestaire was not an idiot Friday night at Rocket Raceway Park. My boy picked up the stock car dub, and really cool to see that. I know he obviously promoted Rocket Raceway Park for any of the people listening that didn't know. He promoted it, stepped away, and really cool to see Kevin Sestaire get behind the wheel. The dude has plenty of wins and plenty of divisions of classes. So, but he wins Friday night over Shelby Williams at that, and Shelby Williams is hands down one of the best stock car wheelers coming out of the state of Texas. So for Kevin Sestaire to pick up that win. Just want to say it was a good night for Arclatex, first night for the new owners. Anybody that wants to step up and take over a racetrack, dude, I give my round of applause to you. Good job, man. I think they had like 118, 120 cars. Vic Case picked up the factory stock win. That's a sneaker right there. That can run really good in them 2 sets of heat races. That can probably sneak up there and throw his hat in the ring. You know, you never know when it comes to the factory stock races. And then, man, I got to say it because we didn't really hound on it too much, but the soup is gone and a tear is here in my face because I don't get to see Hubert Cash leave the entire body in the infield with me this Saturday night. I'm going to miss the soup. I know some people may say that was the reason for the long night. I just say there was a lot of other things that happened on that Saturday night that caused the really lengthy program, and it is what it is. But I will say I'm going to miss the soup because I don't get to see Hubert Cash and the Hubert Cash Rowdies, all the fans on the backstretch that were literally standing ovation for my boy Hubert Cash. Sad that we don't get the soup. And you mentioned Jake Huckabee picked up the Toms win. Want to give him a shout out. He raced at 67 on Friday, run fourth behind. It was Chris Hennigan. Kel Murphy brings a mod out, runs second at 67 behind Chris Hennigan. Dustin was third. Jake runs fourth at 67 and then drives 6 hours or 5 hours all the way to Abilene Saturday to run that Tom's race and picks up the dub, dude. I mean, he's got his program good right now, you know, to go win at Waco and then turn around and go to Abilene. And he had to work for it. Dean Abbey passed him with 5 to go, or like 4 to go. Dean Abbey passed him on the bottom, and Jake had to get back up on the top and hustle that horse like a real man, and he sure enough did it and got the win. So, again, I know I gave him a shout-out last week, but I think he deserves another one, man. He absolutely drove the snot out of that thing, and you can watch the replay on RaceON, and if you tell me I'm wrong in my opinion on that, well, you got long ears and a wet nose because you goofy, because Jake Huckabee was on the wheel, son.
All right then, buddy. I love that a lot. Yeah, he's heating up right now. It's funny. Every single driver you mentioned in your Court's Corners, I sent them all a text this weekend because I was so proud of all of them. I sent them all a text. Kevin Sestaire sent him a text Saturday night. Sent Jake Huckabee a text, and who was the other one you mentioned? I sent him a text too. I sent them all a message. John Kirby? I didn't. No, sorry, not John. I did take a picture of his demolished race car on Friday night, though, so that counts for something. But, yeah. So Jake said, thanks, man. I'm going to try to win one around home so you can make the call because every time he wins, he's got to win out of town, I guess. But at Heart of Texas in Abilene is where he gets it done for his first 2. But, man, I love the Huckabees. Me and Jeff have been good friends for a long time. Me and Jake are obviously good friends. Jake's just good people. The entire Huckabee family, you know, the Kellogg's, the Miltons, they're all intertwined, just really great people there. I know I asked you this 10, 15 minutes ago. Anything else additional either one of you cats got to add here before we get out of here?
the one thing I want to add was the last week when we record the podcast, we didn't necessarily rush it, but we mentioned how we're going to go watch the Lucas Oil race at Shelby County Speedway.
Oh, yes.
Race
What a
of the
race.
year so far. I know it was a week ago. If you haven't watched it, from the late model enthusiast myself, go watch it. Because if you watch that and say you don't like late models, well, by golly, you goofy. You know what I mean? Bobby Pierce
Gosh.
wins it. Sheppy was second, RTJ third, Hudson O'Neal fourth, and the 49 was fifth. But I'm just going to go through. Bobby Pierce passed 6 cars en route to the win. Sheppy in the Rocket 1 car passed 10 cars to second. RTJ passed 3 cars to get to third, and Hudson O'Neal passed 19 cars to run fourth in a very good Shelby County race, Lucas Oil Series race. And I mean, I think anybody that watches it, I think the last 20 laps, I mean, it was slider after slider. It was like 2-car sliders at one point. I mean, it was an absolutely phenomenal race. And I feel like that deserves some cred because dude, they put on a show, which they should. You know, they're the professional race car drivers in the elite late model series in the country. Or I mean, not that they're better than World of Outlaws, but the World of Outlaws and Lucas, the premier dirt late model series, are out there and racing. And man, they put on a heck of a race last Tuesday. I just feel like I was going to be remiss if I didn't mention that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. It was an awesome race. It's funny because I think the first 20 or so laps, the track was still getting rolled in good. Yeah, it was a snoozer the first 20 or so laps, and then all HE broke loose. It was really good. Hey, what I'm about to go watch right now, the PDC is this weekend. I don't know if you guys saw, but it's called the Lucky 263. It's a documentary about the 2024 Prairie Dirt Classic. It's a documentary about Bobby Pierce's run to the front. It's called Lap 263. It's a 28-minute documentary put out by the World of Outlaws. It was premiered 2 hours ago, so you guys should go watch that. The PDC is this weekend at Falls, Fairbury American Legion Speedway. If there's any, we talked about all these different racetracks and places we'd love to go to. Fairbury is a place that I absolutely need to go to. Cortland, have you ever made it to Falls yet or no?
Man, I didn't make it to Falls. He took one trip up there when I was first kind of just helping him. Wasn't full time, and he made a trip up there. I was starting to work at the wrecking yard, but that is a place. If you'd have got to me and you asked where was Cortland going to move at to be at a racetrack, put me by Falls, and then I'm within an hour and a half of 15 other racetracks in Illinois, and they race super late models weekly. You know what I mean? That is definitely a track that you and that whole city incompetent, whatever. They wrap their arms around dirt late model racing that weekend. It is an entire show. I mean, the drivers go golfing. There's a golf course right beside the racetrack. They all go golfing on. They're gonna race tomorrow night, flow night, and then they got a day off, and then it's the Outlaws Thursday or Friday, Saturday. But that Thursday, they have a golf tournament that all the drivers go out there and golf with random people. They just put them in a random scramble with a bunch of fans, and dude, that whole city turns into dirt late model capital of the world. And what a place that I definitely need to make is where I'm getting at. Is I definitely need to make my way up to Fairbury Speedway.
Yeah, let's just take Clark After Dark on the road. I'm gonna call Michael Rigsby in a minute. We're gonna shoot a live one from there next year on the Wednesday night flow night. Hey, anyway, talking outside of the next point, Josh Bell, I've left you hanging for the last 10 minutes. You've just heard us talk. I do want to give you an opportunity. It looks like you have got something burning right now. What do you got?
Yeah, man, I'm burning up. Actually, it's really hot in this room. I guess it wasn't as AC'd as I thought it was. But no, I do have a couple of more things to say. I hadn't talked about it much, but man, Bayou Dirt Life, y'all help us out. We have struggled a lot lately getting out to live shows. Candidly, there just hadn't been a lot of shows that bring in a crowd, and the ones that do, I'm stuck in the announcer's booth. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just I can't be 2 places at once. So I haven't set up an online store. I'd like to do that soon. But hey, if you want a piece of merchandise, we got all kinds of T-shirts, all different colors, 3 different colors of hats as well. Please reach out. BayouDirtLife.com. Go to Facebook, Bayou Dirt Life. We need support to keep this thing rolling, and I hate to be in the spot to be saying it in this way at this point, because we've been running strong for a few years now, but we really need some help, and so y'all please support us. Grab a T-shirt. It's probably the cheapest T-shirt you can grab at the racetrack, and it's going right back to those racers that you might be buying the T-shirt from anyway. So there's that. Full comprehensive schedule is on BayouDirtLife.com. It'll let you know where you need to be this weekend, and everybody knows you need to be at Boot Hill Friday and Saturday for the King of the Hill. I do want to mention also, though, Super B Speedway is running a $1,000 to win USRA Tuner Show on Saturday. I thought this was really cool because we haven't seen a lot of it in the last several years. Super B is cutting factory stocks for Saturday to help out with the King of the Hill. And Boot Hill is only running tuners on Friday. So the big money, each track is stepping out of each other's way, and they're saying, hey, go support the other guys. They're putting up a comma for you guys. So tuners, y'all know where to be. You can run Boot Hill Friday. You need to go over to Super B on Saturday, run for $1,000 to win. Factory stocks, there's only one place to be. It's the King of the Hill. And everybody else, y'all fill in where it's necessary. You know where you race on a regular basis. Street stocks, crate late models, pro mods, all that over there at Super B, and of course our regular USRA classes and Sportsters at Boot Hill. But you can find everything on BayouDirtLife.com. Please reach out, help us out, and we appreciate you.
My boy Cortland uses that Bayou Dirt Life website literally every single weekend. I use it a little bit, but he refers to it all the time. He really does use it. BayouDirtLife.com, race fans, check it out. Thanks for everything you do for racing around the Arklatex, Josh Bell. We really do appreciate it, man. And Cortland, appreciate everything you continue to do on this pod. Can't wait to work with both of you gentlemen this weekend. We wing this entire podcast from start to finish, and I try to do the best I could at the controls tonight. So thank y'all for bearing with me. This has been episode number 44 of Clark After Dark on RaceOn.com. Everybody, please be blessed and be a blessing. We'll see you this weekend from the 11th annual King of the Hill. $10,000 on the line for the USRA factory stocks at the legendary Boot Hill Speedway. We'll see you there.
Later.